Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome to First Contact Radio. It is June 7th, 2016. Sun sign is in Gemini. Moon sign is in Cancer. It's going to be like that for the entire day. Well, actually, it's going to go void, of course, tonight. So our moon will be in Cancer the day until nighttime. Then it will go into that void, of course, phase. The aspects we're looking at, several of them have, or a couple of them have already gone by. First one here is the opposition Pluto, in which, some deep transformation, in the areas of our emotions, the area of the emotional area. Here, let me show you something here. These cards are pictures that represent, they're just symbols, that's all. Just symbols, like anything else. You see a stop sign, it's a symbol. These are just symbols. This is a symbol that we look at and has all kind of imagery that helps us to understand what the astrological sign of Cancer is about. Cancer is a water sign. Water is emotions. If you're going to deal with emotions, you can get knocked over in the same way that water might wash over you and wash you away. So in order to protect himself from the emotions, we got all this armor of protection. Whether it's the vehicle, whether it's the armor, whether it's the skin, whatever it is, spirit resides inside of that. Now, we've learned that spirit could get trapped in the body. That was the intent with Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, in the whole creation process, right? So spirit resides, but spirit can't be trapped. That's what Jesus showed us. You can't trap that spirit. You can only think you can, but you can't. And that was the foolishness, that was the arrogance that was presented forth. So we have this spirit that flows through us, and when we truly allow it to flow through us, what it does is it moves past all the barriers, the boundaries. We move through life with the protections of the armor of God around us, the protections around us, and with all of that, we're able to move through the emotions, move through that field of emotions that take place. And oftentimes, with our emotions, you know how they bounce back and forth. We get caught up in dualities, not sure what we want to do. We see things black and white, we're not sure. Well, if we move through and we allow spirit to move through and we're not in a state of ignorance, we're not in a state of confusion, spirit can come through. We solve the riddle of the sphinxes. We are able to move down the path of duality in a balanced manner because we are allowing a higher spirit, that higher force of God to flow through us. So that's what this is all about. So when we look at these signs and these symbols, we're simply looking at how we understand energy a little bit better. Well, that's all. That's all. The sun sign for Gemini is all about the masculine and the feminine, the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, looking towards the higher self, looking towards the higher aspect for its understandings, for its guidance. And in doing so, we move forward. So if we focus our conscious mind on looking for that upper guidance, if we put on the armor that we have, if we create our energy field around us to protect ourselves from all of these emotions, we move through the world more effectively. So all we're looking at with all of these different aspects here is different ways in which these energies play off of each other. That's it. It's pretty simple when you look at it in that regard. So when I say there's deep transformation, we're looking here in the area of Cancer, since that's our moon sign. When we have this Pluto here, it means that it's affecting whatever this is. So every time we see these moon signs here, so here it's affected by Pluto. Pluto is the brings deep transformation. If you just think of some basic keywords for each one of these, it really simplifies the process. As we get down into the afternoon, we have a square, which is a lesson. And the lesson is involved with Uranus. Uranus is spring surprises, quick changes, unexpected events. And then we have a sextile. Sextile is a nice, good, positive energy. So we've got this emotions, and we have Mercury now is going to see how we work, how we communicate as we're in this place. And then the healing that needs to take place, because we find out what part of ourselves is still wounded, and that wounded part here, it tells us it's somewhere in the emotional body. So when we get to this aspect, it allows us the opportunity to be able to look at what that is so we can bring healing to it. And then Mars energizes everything again as we get to the evening to really, stimulate where we're going. Now, if you think of these elements, we've got Mars, fire, and you got water. If we've got fire applied to water, what's it going to do? It's going to cause the water to get warm, the emotions to get warm. We don't think we see a trine here, so we see that it's not necessarily to a point where it's going to bubble over, but we're going to put some heat to the emotions, so things are going to get intensified a little bit. Okay, with Mercury here, Mercury is an air sign, so we know that we have air is going to be applied to the idea of water here. Air and water, when they work together, air can be a nice, good effect with the water, or it can blow it around and create storms and hurricanes. And so if we just look at the basic elements, that's what I like to look at, the basic elements. What are the elements involved, and how are they interacting with each other? Because when we go into the world on a daily basis, that's exactly what we're going to have to deal with, the elements. We're going to be walking amongst them. So if we have somewhat of an understanding, okay, so that's what that is all about there. And of course, if you look at the wheel, you can see how everything's spread out. There seems to be a nice little balance throughout. Usually we see these clustered in an area or two, but here we have a nice, good spreading out of this. Remember, we had that cross, that grand cross that went on, so we could definitely see things spread out in that regard. The moon phase is 8.5% of the way full, making its way up to the full moon, which will occur on the 20th of June. Jewish calendar today is the beginning of a new month on the Jewish calendar, 1 Sivan. 1 Sivan, and it is Omer count day 45, moving into day 46. The daily thought for today, the Jewish calendar here, is living now. Life is here and now, forever new. To be alive this moment now must touch the essence of your soul. To be alive is to be forever newly born. And so our sages said, the Torah must be new to you every day. Because it is not new, then it is not giving you life. And if it is not giving you life, then what is? Space weather, solar wind, 455.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index in the 3 range, which is quiet, probably going to stay that way. Big corona hole moving towards the center here. As we could see, it says June 11th, 12th, we'll feel some effect from that. M-class flare possibility and X-class are both at 1%, so no flares in the making at this moment. And the geomagnetic storm activity seems to be decreasing in the mid-latitudes. It's going from 20% down to 10%. And in the high latitudes, again, it is decreasing 25 to 15 of anything severe, 20 down to 15. So there is that subsiding. Again, just remember, the earth, the energy, everything around us is breathing. So that's what we're feeling. We're experiencing the breathing. So when these energies go up, it's because the exhalation, and when it goes the other way, it's the inhalation, and we're just part of that breath that is continually in motion. And looking up at the sky tonight, As darkness arrives, these evenings look south, about halfway between Jupiter and Mars. One star there stands out, Spica, in Virgo. High above it shines brighter Arcturus and Butes. Half as far as Spica's lower right is the constellation Corvus, the crow, eyeing Spica to steal it from Virgo's hand. All right, so there you go. That's our little compilation of cosmic weather. We're dealing with air, Gemini, conscious mind wants to focus on discernment so we can make better choices. And the underlying moon sign for today wants us to address our emotions by making sure that we have our armor on to protect ourselves from all of the emotions that hit us so we can think clearly. It's not about avoiding the emotions, it's about finding a way in order to keep from being inundated with them so we can focus on what it is we need to focus. And when we put them together, when we put together the air of Gemini with the ideas of discernment, and we put the Cancerian moon of the emotions, we could see that what this aspect and what this combination is showing us is that our conscious mind and our discernment and the areas we need to look at right now are emotional. Okay? So we don't want to let our emotions get out of check. When our emotions get out of check, things can go a little bit crazy and awry. So there you go. That's our cosmic weather for today. UFO news is next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I have 4 good stories. First one is a UFO returns for a second night in a row over Las Vegas, Nevada. This comes June 4th. Says here you can see a glowing UFO in the sky and a mountain in the background far below it. There's the mountain right there. The UFO is clearly flying over Vegas and must have been noticed by others in the city. Vegas actually has its own U.S. Air Force base. This base just happens to be Nellis Air Force Base, which is has the home to a separate base inside for the tall whites, an alien species that looks 95% as children, but as adults they're usually tall and aggressive. Okay, so here we go. This is the person who shot the video. They say I shot this video from my backyard in Summerlin area of Las Vegas, Nevada on the night of June 4th. It was over 100 degrees while I was outside last night, but it was worth staying out until the event was over. I recorded the same object I did the night before at the same location. This time, the event clearly took place in the sky above the mountain. At times, the video makes it appear as if there was only a single object, especially the night vision camera, but there were at least 2 objects. They were so close together they appeared to be one. Fortunately, the camcorder was able to define 2 objects. They didn't go through the same routine as the night before, but there was a point where they became intensely bright. The brightness seemed to ebb and wane until they finally disappeared for good. Okay? So there you go. Moving on to the next one. This was Joshua Tree, also on the 4th. This is what was seen there. This is night vision. Here's an interesting UFO video of huge objects flying over Joshua Tree in California, filmed on the 4th. Witness says, attending contact in the desert of Joshua Tree, boyfriend and I cited for possible sightings of the UFOs with night vision glasses, observed 4 balls of glowing light moving across the sky. We were attending contact in the desert. We're both highly educated professional people with an interest in UFOs. He's a management consultant. I am an attorney and previous RN. I'm also a private pilot. We had signed up for night vision experience on Saturday. It involved looking into the night sky with military-grade night vision goggles. We got in line at approximately 9:15 at the outer edge of the retreat center. Our wait line was approximately 45 minutes to an hour. While waiting, we could hear the group facilitator making comments as to what to look for and what not to look for. Satellites, airplanes, helicopters. We could hear the people comment as they saw something, but they always turned out to be satellites or aircraft. As such, we were not expecting to see any actual UFOs at all. Then it was our turn to put on the night vision goggles as instructed, and we started scanning. I saw a few satellites discernible because of their smooth movement from the horizon to horizon at high altitude. I saw some aircraft discernible by their blinking position lights, red and left green on the right. Being a pilot, I can be aware of what aircraft lights look like at night. Suddenly, one of the group yelled out that they had seen something. We swung our goggles to look to the northerly direction. I focused on a white glowing object which looked like a ball of light with fuzzy edges coming over the horizon rather fast, traveling west to east and then slowly disappearing. Process of elimination set in, not a plane, helicopter, no blinking lights, fuzzy edges, ball shape, not a satellite, because too low to the horizon and moving too fast. These objects were large and bright enough to be seen with the naked eye. As we were watching the white object, the second object, this time blue in color, came out of the west and traveled rapidly to the east. Ball-shaped, glowing, fuzzy edges. This one slowed down. The third object came from the west, this time green in color, same shape, characteristics as above. This one slowed down also. The fourth object, I'm uncertain about the color, as people were now very excited, and many thoughts were racing through my mind. Is this real? I looked at them with my naked eye and the goggles, and yes, they were there. Now, the second, third, or fourth object had slowed to a triangular formation, with the apex of the triangle facing up. They did not stop, but kept moving to the east. At this point, the group facilitator said that we needed to give the people in line a chance to see because they were dying to see, so we handed over the goggles and started walking back to the center. We lost sight only because we were instructed to leave. By my guess, there were about 30 people with goggles who had saw this take place, and perhaps a few who saw with the naked eye. Ever since that evening, my boyfriend and I have been processing this event. Yes, we're interested in UFOs and the nature of reality, consciousness, etc. We ask, did this predispose us to experiencing this? My answer is no. Remember, we are not expecting to see anything but satellites or airplanes. It was just fun experience to sign up for. Since then, we have not stopped thinking about what we had saw. Okay, so there you go. Next, I have a couple of new crop circles showed up in the UK. There we go. Here's this one right here. This is from the 28th. There's one from June 5th. It's pretty cool. Alright, let's just go back to the image here. That's what we have. So do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Let me go back to the shot here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 of those. Okay. So if you have any ideas what that means, let me know your thoughts. And one last piece here. This is a story of a man who built a pyramid because he said an extraterrestrial told him to do so. This happened out in Coachella, or Coahuila, Mexico, excuse me. This is magnificent, not because of the fact that aliens spoke to him and not because he was trying to impress the aliens, but because it is just beautiful. Look at the design of the doorway, the care that went into the placement of every stone of this structure. Even if aliens didn't tell him to make it, it's still many levels of awesome. Alright. Here it is. It says Ramondo Corona, farmer from Mexico, is gone and built a 22-foot Aztec pyramid in the desert, 74 kilometers from the Mexico-U.S. border. When people asked him why he went through the trouble of building a pyramid in the desert, he said he was simply following the instructions of an alien who paid him a visit 3 decades ago. Speaking to a local newspaper, Corona described the alien as a tall man with honey-colored eyes and white hair by the name of Heruliak. He apparently came from the planet called Nephilim, which Corona says is 20 times the size of Earth and located in the constellation of Orion. The Mexican farmer added that Heracula warned him that he would be taken for a drunk or drug addict if he ever built a pyramid, but his conviction was so strong that he went ahead and did it anyway. He really believes the alien paid him a visit in 1984 when he was 33. His wife was pregnant at that time, about to give birth to a baby girl when he first saw the strange men in his dreams. A few nights later, he heard a knock at the door. It turned out to be the same man. Corona was scared out of his wits and ran outside, but then regained his composure and got back home. He figured the strange figure might be a god, but it's some man. Sensing his thoughts, said, "I'm not a god. I'm a man like you. I have the same importance as you." He told him to build a temple in the form of a pyramid. Corona explained, when I asked him why it had to be the form of the pyramid, he said because it should be like my faith, something that winds and storms couldn't move and was always pointing upwards. He told me he came from the constellation of Orion, from a place called Nephilim, which is a place 20 times larger than Earth where people are similar to human beings. He was a tall man with honey-colored eyes, white hair down to the ground. He was barefoot and wore a tunic tied with a rope. The man supposedly warned Corona that the building a temple would not be easy. People will laugh at you, defame you, say it was an act of insanity or something he did on a bender. He said building the temple was not an easy task, especially not for Corona, who had only studied until the 6th grade. He had to make several mathematical calculations that were way beyond his understanding, and to this day he has no idea how he managed to do it. He just believes the knowledge was embedded in his genetic system, waiting for him to access it. So, very cool indeed. Let's jump away. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay. So yet again, play the song Wake Up. I'm going to keep playing that song because I want everybody to wake up. I want the new people who are showing up and seeing this show to wake up. I want people to get that message. I'm not the only one saying it. So why am I saying wake up? What does it mean? It's implying that people are asleep and not paying attention. Question is, are we seeing signs of people sleeping through life? Sleepwalking through life? You tell me. You look around the world, certainly what we see, isn't it? You walk down the streets and you see people with their noses in their smartphones. They can't even look up at you when you're walking by. They're so immersed with this. You have people of different colors looking at each other out of their corner of their eyes, afraid to say anything. We have the PC police, which has got people concerned about the words that they're using. On and on and on. Yeah, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We have a media that is lying to people on a daily basis. This media is a big problem because over the years their credibility has really gone down because they haven't been honest. There are still those who believe that the media is telling them the truth. However, all it takes is a bit of research to understand the history of media to find out that their objective is not to tell you the truth. And you can see that there are many who work with the media outlets that are frustrated by what's going on. And they try to expose the truth of what they know, but oftentimes when they do, they disappear from the media. They're fired. They're released. And then when they're released, we get to hear about how that they were ostracized for their ideas, how there were memos that were put out that told them what to say and what stories to push forward. And so it makes it real problematic when the system, the fourth estate, the media, who should be informing people, is misinforming individuals of what's going on. These media personalities to go to events, or who are recording stuff, they go to events to gather news, and then they only send out sound bites to the people. And people watch these sound bites because we've become a society that is used to sound bites. Short attention span society who can't stand to listen more than a short little sound bite, and they hear that and they believe that. But oftentimes when they leave pieces out, leave information out, it doesn't give you the information necessary to make a proper decision. So the thing that I keep hearing quite a bit about lately, and I know you do too, are the complaints people have about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is racist. They say he's racist, and the reason they cite is because they said he wants to ban all Mexicans. Donald Trump doesn't want to ban all Mexicans. He's never said that. But when you listen to the soundbite that the media plays, that's what you get. When Donald Trump says he wanted to have a temporary ban of Muslims coming into this country so that we could find out what's going on with the system, so that we can then put it in place so then people can begin to come into the system legally. All that they played was Donald Trump wants to ban Muslims. And so this is the idea that goes out there. So people say he's racist. He wants to ban people. The things that he's saying and doing, strangely enough, aren't strange to our government because a number of these things are already on the books. They're just not being followed. They're laws on the books. They're ways of practices that aren't being employed. And so he's just wanting us to do things that we should be doing in the first place. And oftentimes are doing, and we're not being aware that we're actually doing the things he's saying. The latest thing about him that they're not telling you, they're on him because he referred to this man's Mexican heritage. Well, what is he supposed to refer to him of? His heritage is Mexican. Is he supposed to ignore that? Have we gotten so politically correct that we're not supposed to, refer to a person's heritage anymore? What should he refer to him? Should he have used any other name used to express, Mexican? Any other slang terms? I don't think that would have gone over very well. Guy is Mexican of heritage. Sure, he lives in Indiana, but his heritage and the connections that he has are not very good. When you look at it, they're very biased. And today you're going to see there's stories that are coming out now, new information that is confirming what he said to be accurate. This La Raza group that this man, this judge is involved with, La Raza is the Mexican KKK. They mean the race. That's what it means, La Raza, the race. So people are getting the wrong idea. They're wanting to ostracize Trump because the media is not doing its job. And when the media doesn't do its job, people make bad decisions because they don't have all the information. So we need to pay real close attention. We need to wake up to what's going on around us because there's a lot of deception. When we look and we see all of the people in the world that are deceiving you, we have to understand that there's an agenda at these networks. It's not too difficult. It's not too difficult to understand this. Now, one of the things that's going on today, in addition to the primaries and the votes out here in California and a few other places, is a exercise that's taking place. An exercise is called the Cascadia Subduction Zone and Tsunami Functional Exercise. Now, it's good that these exercises happen. It's good that we practice for certain things. But one of the things that we need to be aware of is oftentimes, in hindsight, we can look back now and we can see that when there have been various events or atrocities that have occurred, sometimes they've occurred in conjunction with exercises that have been going on. It's been happening a long while. We can see that on 9/11 there was exercises. We could see at Sandy Hook when that was going on, there were exercises taking place that day. When the event in Boston went on, they were doing an exercise there. They actually blew up a bomb, which is what was reported, but then the media tried to give you some other things that were going on. Sandy Hook was an exercise. On and on and on. Okay? Exercises. And so if we're not aware of what they're doing, that they're exercises that are turning into live events, if we simply buy it all the time, then we're just falling into the trap of stupidity. You see, those who are doing these exercises, those who are doing and pulling all these events, these staged events, are doing so using the same play over and over and over. That's why those who are looking can say, here's the key signs of a staged event. And it's the same one over and over because Americans haven't caught on, so they only have to use one play to fool Americans. And it's sad that Americans are so easily fooled by the same play being used over and over and over and over again. It's like yesterday I did the report, 622, Muhammad and his group went and infiltrated other countries under the guise of being migrants. Here it is, 2016. History is repeating. They're doing exactly the same thing. When there were those Americans who warned and said, this is what's going on, they're sneaking in, the media came out and ostracized those people. Oh, how could you say that? That's not happening. Other countries came out and said that. People who listened to the sound bites jumped on board. And guess what? They were all wrong because it was found out that that was exactly what was happening. Migrants were going in, and mixed in were these Islamic terrorists. Mixed in with them. Just walking right into the countries. And then they get in and they cause all these problems. So the same things are going on. If we don't pay attention to the signs, then we might as well just write ourselves off. Because the signs are showing us that we're being fooled. Now, staged events are exactly that. They're events that are staged. Doesn't mean people don't get hurt in them because we have a perverse government that doesn't care about human life in many ways. And so if there's a few people that get in the way, well, they're just part of the process of selling the story. And so people do get hurt at times, but still it doesn't take away from the fact that events are staged and planned. Exercises like this happen all the time. And the reason that we look at these exercises is when they happen, oftentimes these exercises are filmed. If the general public isn't aware that these exercises are occurring, and they aren't aware that these exercises are being filmed when they are occurring, they also aren't going to know when the media is playing little clips from these exercises telling you they're a real event that happened, because you're not going to know any better. It's just like NASA. If you saw the movie Martian, which took place on a soundstage but was supposedly on Mars, you know that they could do whatever they want because America will always think that we can do exactly what they did in the movies. So when we watch these stories of the news, we think that this is what's going on. We don't think twice. But we need to think twice, because in not thinking twice about a situation, we're getting fooled by the same play over and over and over again. We do an exercise, the exercise goes live, real people get hurt, and agenda's pushed. So here we have this exercise. Does it mean that something's bad? Not necessarily, because it's hard to tell. But I do know that there will be something that will come of this. How do I know that? Past results. Whenever these have occurred, there's always been something that has followed it. Whether it's a new law that is put in place because an agenda was pushed, whether it's a new way of getting the kids or people to think about a situation, whatever it is, there's something that's going to come out of this. Is this a prelude to something big that might happen? I don't know. We'll find out. But we need to be aware when these things go on so we can at least pay attention enough to know what's happening so that we don't get fooled. So what we have here is the Cascadia subduction zone and tsunami functional exercise. It says science points to a large 8 to 9 point magnitude Cascadia subduction zone ripping across the 800-mile CSZ fault line on average once every 200 to 500 years. The last major CSZ earthquake and tsunami occurred in 1700. Recent subduction zone earthquakes around the world underscore the similar challenges we will face when the next CSZ earthquake and tsunami occurs in our region. Okay, and so they have some examples of what happened in 2004, 2010, 2011. Here's something interesting about all of these. You've heard of the HARP project? Well, happens to be that when we look back, using the information we have now when we look back, we can see that some of these earthquakes were possibly manufactured by some of the technology that is in place. So is it possible that there could be an exercise and then there could be a large-scale mass event that could happen? Sure is, because we have the technology that can do it. Do we have any other warnings that may have come across our way? Well, not too long ago, Obama warned people that there was some major disaster that we should be prepared for. Let us know. When he says something like this, that's kind of bizarre, because he's the Antichrist, and he says things and there's a purpose behind them. And if people have an issue with me calling him the Antichrist, you know what? I don't care. Don't care if you have a problem with that, because I got to call it like I see it. I can't be stupid, and there's a lot of people that are noticing and seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So I'm going to pay more attention because I don't want to get fooled. Here's an exercise plan that goes along with this to see what this is all about. It says it takes place from the 7th through the 10th. It says the exercise is predominantly a functional exercise with limited field play to be conducted over a 4-day period at multiple emergency organization centers and venues in 3 different states. And they want to check out the response in various areas. I mean, the whole idea is a good idea. You want to keep people safe. Question is, are they doing this because somebody knows something? Okay? Is this being done because somebody has some pre-knowledge of an event? Because when we look back into the past, we see that many of the tragic events that occurred had some pre-knowledge to it. So we have to now begin looking at these events that are planned and see if there's anything about that event that has some bit of pre-knowledge written on it that might give us a clue to what's going on. Again, it's all about waking up. We can just walk through life, sleepwalk through life, pretend we don't see these things, but we happen to be in that time where paying attention is necessary. Happen to be in that time, my friends. Between now and November, when the election goes on, there's going to be a lot taking place. The man in office has said on a number of occasions in a joking manner that he wants to be in there for a third term. There are those who are concerned that there's going to be a martial law situation or something that will come in that will suspend this election, and he's going to try to keep himself in place. He's made enough jokes about him being the Antichrist to make you wonder why somebody would continue to make those kind of jokes. Or is he just playing along with it? Whatever the case may be, got to pay attention. Ramadan just started. Ramadan, and we've got the warnings saying there's sleeper cells in America that it's time for them to activate. Is that true? We'll find out. Ramadan's here for the entire month. Also, Obama's declared during this same month of Ramadan that this is LGBT month. Well, as far as what I'm aware of what the Islamic faith believes, I don't believe they believe in all of that LGBT stuff. So he's created this pot, this melting pot here in America, where we're going to have all of the Muslims who are celebrating Ramadan out celebrating at the same time all of the LGBT crowd is out there celebrating their LGBTness. And so those two things don't mix, but they're put into the same pot of boiling water. We add that to all of the tensions of the election process that's going on, all of the racial issues that are at place. There's something building. If we don't recognize this, then we should just pretend that we, don't know anything, because this is really easy to see and observe. Something's coming to a head here, my friends. So we've got a month from today until, month or so until the conventions in July. And then from there until November. So these next several months, we need to pay attention. We need to be aware of the agendas at place and understand that there's a lot of trickiness that could be going on. And if we're not aware, if we turn a blind eye to this, we might be looking back at the end of this year saying that we wish we had paid more attention. So that's my spiel on all of that. I'm going to switch gears here to the topic Stargate. There's a Wikipedia entry. It says a Stargate is an Einstein-Rosen bridge portal device within this Stargate functional universe that allows practical rapid travel between two distant locations. Devices first appear in the 1994 Roland Emmerich and film Stargate, and thereafter in the television series SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe. In these productions, the Stargate functions as a plot generator, allowing the main characters to visit alien planets without the need for spaceships or any other type of technology. The device allows for near instantaneous travel across intra and even intergalactic distances. Within the Stargate fictional universe, Stargates are large rings composed of fictional superconductive mineral called Nakata. Each Stargate has 9 points spaced equally around the center. Okay, so the whole point here of Stargates is the idea of a way that we travel from one point to the next. But not just here on Earth, but from here to other locations outside of Earth. Maybe perhaps outside of the dome. Is that the way that we get out of the dome, through the Stargate, through the portal? Because we can't get out otherwise? I don't know. Speculation on my part. But Stargates are real. I saw an example the other day when we saw that one UFO that was going through that wormhole. Stargate, wormhole, all kind of along the same ideas. So where do some of these exist? Here's an article. It says 10 sites that might be Stargates, portals, or wormholes. Many ancient cultures speak of portals to other worlds and gateways to star systems, where their creators reside. Conventional wisdom tells us that these tales are merely myths or legends. However, recent declassified FBI files have stated that our Earth has been visited by beings from other dimensions and planets. NASA has announced that portals do indeed appear to be hidden within the Earth's magnetic field, making some wonder if the legends of Stargates, portals, and wormholes may have some degree of truth to them. There's 10 locations. We have the Gate of the Gods, and we have this little doorway up here. Okay, in 1996, it was discovered by Jose Luis Delgado Mamani while he was trying to learn the layout of the area for a job he had recently taken as a tour guide. The Gate of the Gods at Haya Marco in Peru is said by native tribes to have once acted as a gateway to the land of the gods. Mamani even claims that he had dreams of the doorway for years before he had accidentally found it. In his dream, Mamani stated that the pathway leading to the doorway was made of pink marble, and he also witnessed a smaller doorway that was open with a brilliant blue light coming from what looked like a shimmering tunnel. So, I'm saying somehow or another, there's something triggers this and opens up a portal. Abu Ghraib, Egypt, place of the gods. The Abu Sir Pyramids site of Abu Ghraib was classified to be one of the oldest sites in the planet. Within Abu Ghraib lies an ancient platform made of alabaster, Egyptian crystal, and is said to be in tune with the vibration of Earth. It can also open the senses in order for a person to communicate, to be one with higher sacred energies of the universe. Especially, it is a stargate in the sacred energies of the natives, the gods. Interesting legends of the communication, the way of travel between their world and ours, almost mirrors the legends of the Cherokee Native Americans. The Cherokee will tell of their thought beings who are formless, would travel on a wave of sound from their home in the Pleiades star system to the Earth. We have Lake Michigan, ancient stone arrangement in Lake Michigan. Kind of like a little mini Stonehenge of sorts. 2007, while searching for the remains of a shipwreck, scientists discovered a stone structure 12 meters below the surface of Lake Michigan. Thought to be 900 years old, the structure has been dubbed Michigan's equivalent of Stonehenge. The discovery was made by Professor of Underwater Archaeology at Northwestern Michigan University, Mark Hawley, and his colleague, Brian Abbott. One thing of particular interest was a carving on one of the stones of a mastodon, which is believed to have become extinct 10,000 years ago, a possible indication of the structure's age. And then, of course, we have Stonehenge, one of the most well-known structures on the planet, if only by name. It is the ancient rock formation known as Stonehenge. It is also one of the most contested and debated sites in history, both as to when it was built and to what its true purpose might have been. Mainstream historians claim that the famous arrangement was built around 5,000 years ago, partly from bluestones that were quarried from a site 386 kilometers away. To some, though, this notion is absurd. The Sumerian Stargate at the Euphrates River. There is a famous Sumerian seal that shows Sumerian god appearing from a portal of his world into ours. The god appears to be on a staircase that is moving away from the person viewing the seal. On each side of the emerging god there are strange simmering columns of water. Another Sumerian artifact that claims to show evidence of stargates is that of Ninurta. Ninurta not only appears to be wearing a modern-day wristwatch, but is also using his finger to press what appears to be a button on the wall of the gateway he is standing in. Okay, here's what looks like a wristwatch type thing. Pushing some sort of button up there. Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, Gate of the Sun. Believed to be the portal of the land of the gods, the Gate of the Sun in Bolivia shares much of its legends with other similar sites in the Andes region. Tiahuanaco city is said to be one of the most important sites of the ancient America, which legends stating that the sun god Viracocha appeared in Tiahuanaco and made it the place of creation, the place he chose to start the human race. And we have in Sri Lanka the Ramsu Unana Stargate, carved in a massive piece of stone wall, mostly hidden between the boulders in the cave systems of Ranamasu. Uyana is what is believed to be a star map or star chart. The symbols carved on the rock are said to be a code that opens the Stargate and allows the opener to travel from this world to other areas of the universe. Directly opposite the star mat are 4 stone seats or chairs. Abydos, Egypt. Here we see what looks like flying objects. This is one of the oldest cities in ancient Egypt. Abydos is probably one of the most important sites in Egyptology and certainly one of the most interesting. In particular, the Temple of Seti I appears to show hieroglyphs of modern flying machines, such as a helicopter, as well as what we describe as a flying saucer. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Regarded as the oldest stone temple in the world, the Göbekli Tepe site features several rings of huge T-shaped stone pillars, each engraved with a carving of an animal such as a lion or a sheep. 2 of the pillars sit in the middle of these circles, almost creating an archway of sorts. This archway within these circles are said to be the remains or portals of stargates, which the ancient people who resided there used as a portal to the sky world. And last, Sedona vortexes and the doorway of the gods. Sedona, a small town in Arizona, was once known by the Native American tribes as Nawanda and was at one time the most sacred city to them. It is said the red rocks of the deserts that surround the small town can create vortexes within the capability of transporting people to another realm or dimension. Native Americans believe these rocks are spiritually charged, while sounds emanating from there have been reported in the mountains of Arizona, claims to be the doorways of the gods, a strange stone arch portal to another space and time. Okay, so there you have it. I've been to only one of those locations. That was Sedona. Definitely felt a surge of energy out there. If you've been out there, you know what I'm talking about. Very interesting place indeed. So, Stargates, ways to travel to other worlds. Do they exist? It would appear to be, or are either that or our imagination is just working overtime, one or the two. But it certainly seems that there's a lot of evidence to suggest this might be a reality. Something for us to explore. And there you have it. I want to introduce you to a movie here. I'm not going to play any of this. I'm just going to send you the link. This movie here, it's up here at YouTube. It is called One Pet Goat 2. One Pet Goat 2. Says a story about the fire at the heart of the suffering, bringing together dancers, musicians, visual artists, and 3D animation. The film takes a critical look at the events of the past decade that have shaped our world. And as you go through there, you'll see, there's the George Bush character who turns into he's talking to the girl, and that one, Alice. There you go, the Obama character. It's a very interesting movie. Very interesting movie for people who are interested in conspiracy theories. That movie's filled with information that kind of ties a lot of things and connects a lot of things. And if nothing else, it's definitely a good viewing. Definitely interesting animation. So check that out. All right, here's a message. This is a recent message from Archangel Gabriel. Here it is.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message / Monday, June 6, 2016 by Shelley Young. Stepping fully into your authentic power is such a monumental step for enlightening human beings. The reason why it is such a big deal to you is because you have had many experiences with the misuse of power in your previous life expressions. You have had power misused against you, and you have misused it yourself because at that time you didn't know better. You have been intensely studying both what power is, and what it is not, for centuries, all in preparation for this right now moment in time. The fact that you are approaching it so carefully lets you know you are ready for it. As a human being of service on an ascending planet, you are mindful and committed to supporting the vibrational shift you are part of, so your decisions will be in line with that. The people who truly misuse power are not introspective in the least, do not consider, even for a second, that they might be doing something wrong, and make decisions that serve the one. You are well beyond that stage, and through your tender hearts and gentle natures, will make decisions that serve the whole. So breathe, dear ones. Align with your truth and allow yourselves to step forward as the sovereign beings you truly are. You are ready. Archangel Gabriel.
All right, that was a good message. I like that one. You know what was said is very important. We need to be responsible for the things that we say. The words come out of our mouth, we take actions, we do things. If we do things just for selfish purposes, there's a certain effect that comes from that. If we do things that are more for selfless purposes, more for reaching out and participating and sharing with others in an honest exchange, there's a different effect. We need to be responsible with the way we use our energy. We need to use our power for good. Because if we don't, if we misuse the power that we have, people can get hurt, things can go crazy. So part of, I think, what's going on is us knowing and discovering if we're worthy to be able to use more power. And the way we know, the way the higher powers would know, is how we handle the power that we have. Do we misuse the energy that we have available to us for good or for bad? What way are we using it? And if we're using it for good, then we show that we are able to handle more, so we can handle more. Because sometimes if we do and misuse energy, sometimes the very person it could hurt is ourselves. Because we do things that are hurtful to ourselves first and then hurtful to others. And I certainly don't want to do that. I know I talk about a lot of fringe subjects, and I truly spend a lot of time thinking about them and dealing with them before I open my mouth and speak about such things. Because one, I don't want to look foolish any more than the subjects themselves, allow us to look, because they're fringe subjects, and studying some of these things, you get put into a list of being quite wacky. Talking about the flat earth instantly puts you over in a certain category. Talking about conspiracy theories, people have an impressionation of you because of that. So I think about these things, and so I make sure that when I say things, they're well thought out. And once I kind of get to that point for myself, then I know and feel secure that I can talk about a subject, that I'm not just talking nonsense, that there's some merit to it, and I have something to add to the discussion. But oftentimes we hurt ourselves because we don't think, we don't take the time to have the courage of our convictions, to stand by the things we're saying. And I think that's important, that we need to use our energy for good and stand by the things that we say and do, because we're doing them for the right reasons. Does that make sense? All right, meditation time. So we're using meditation to wrap everything up, kind of bring ourselves into a place to understand all what's going on a little more. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another breath and exhale again. And another breath and exhale. Now imagine you're looking out at the world and you're just observing the events that are taking place. And as you observe these events, you see this story unfolding, playing itself out in life. And so you close your eyes for a moment, you rub your eyes, you think about seeing the world past the illusion, and you open them again. And this time all of what you see starts to fade away, and you start to see the reality behind it. And you realize that some of the things presented were exactly as they are, and some of the things presented were misrepresented, were distortions, distractions. So we look through life and we find ourselves able to look at life in a more objective manner. We look at life and the world around us with the attempt in the effort to see past any illusions. And as we do, we see the world clearer. And as we see the world clearer, we're able to make better decisions. And as we make better decisions, the results from our decisions are more effective. And so let's just imagine ourselves observing the world, observing what is taking place, and then looking past this illusion to see if it's real or not. And so let's just let our subconscious mind continue on that journey of finding ways to look at life that we see the deeper reality, so nothing remains hidden and the truth presents itself. Let the subconscious mind continue on that journey of observation, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. All right, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. The theme that I seem to be on lately is, well, not just lately, but probably since the show's begun, waking up, paying attention, seeing what's really going on. As we know from all of the stories that we've been studying, the things we've been looking at, there is a great deception going on out there in the world. But there's also a tremendous reality that exists. And it is our job to find that reality. We need to seek in order to find the answers. This is what we've been told over and over by Jesus. To seek and find. And you only have to seek for something if it's hidden. You don't have to seek to find something if it's there for you to see. So we're challenged by the spiritual teachers to look deeper. We're challenged by the words of Jesus to seek. So that's what we need to do, to continue to seek, to find what it is that is really taking place. And when we do, when we see past this illusion, once we see past it, it's easy then every time. It's like tearing the curtain back and seeing the wizard behind the curtain to realize what's truly taking place and what isn't. And that's where we're at in life. I think we're at a critical time. And if we don't pay attention now, we're going to be looking back in several months saying we wish we had. Because life could be drastically different if we don't make the right choices. We don't want to repeat any more mistakes. We already are. But we need to find a way to stop that real quick so we can make better decisions and be aware of things that are repeating that need to end. So there you go. That's my thoughts for today. That's the show for today. I thank you so much for being here. You can find all the information at firstcontactradio.com, over at YouTube, over at Facebook. Contact me in any of those ways. Share the videos. Subscribe if you already haven't. And all that good stuff. I'll be back with more news and information. Until then, have yourselves an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.